Hey, what's going on, guys? We're back taking another look at another one of Kotobukiya's Megami Device Buster Doll series. This time we've got the tank, which is the next iteration here. Really cool. As you guys know, I'm really enjoying this line of Buster Doll releases, and the tank looks really cool. Obviously has a kind of more tank aesthetic in that it's kind of like heavily armed and heavily armored, I guess I should say. But not only are we going to be taking a look at the Buster Doll tank in today's video, I thought we could kind of double up and also take a look at the Buster Doll tank Midnight Fang versions. So Kotobukiya is now doing these color variation releases of these kits, and as far as I know, it's basically just a color variation. So I figure we might as well take a look at both of these kits since both of them are now available. We'll look at both the regular version and the Midnight Fang version in today's video. Of course, there will be time codes down below if you guys want to skip around to see any particular section, if you want to see just about the Midnight Fang version or just about the original version. But of course, we'll start off taking a look at the box and contents for the kits first, and then we'll get them built up and check them out. Let's go ahead and get started. So starting off with just the original Buster Doll tank here. Like with the rest of the line, we got this nice matte finish black background here, the image, and you got kind of like these runner images there. Have a nice glossy finish to them and look really nice. We just have an actual photograph of the kit. I do kind of miss not having like illustration artwork on the box art like we have with the rest of the Megami Device line, but still some really nice premium feeling boxes overall. The text here on the front says, the third model in the new series featuring the completely remodeled Machinika Block 2M body. Its layered armor system allows for parts to be easily swapped for various fighting styles or be further expanded upon. Tank features the same inner armor as Gunner and focuses on heavy armor and high firepower. So yeah, pretty awesome. And this is number 24 in the Megami Device lineup, by the way. As you can see, a pretty thick box here too. On the bottom of the box, we can see how the kit is going to look in the different modes. So like the full armor mode there, as you can see, again, like really fully highly armored there. And then the kind of light armor over here. We've got the costume mode where it's just completely without armor and in just kind of some very thin, skimpy clothing. And then the base body form right there. So you can choose between the different modes, and that gives you a lot of different options and customizability for sure. Over here, you can see an image of what the kit is going to look like straight out of the box without any painting or anything on that. Looks pretty nice. And then on the top of the box here, we can see our included face option parts that we've got for this one. So some pretty nice options there. And then over here, the MSRP of 6,300 yen for this one. Popping open the box, like we've seen in the past releases, the runners are basically separated by, you have like all the parts for just the block body, and then you have all the parts for like this particular version. So we'll take a look through all of the runners here in just a moment. As you can see, we have a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, no waterside decals included, but we've got kind of three parts to the manual. So this first part here in full color is basically just going to be our like reference images and stuff in here. We've got the color guide right there. And then over here on this side about the Mechanical Girls Armament Miniature or Megami there, and then some more images. Yeah, kind of similar to what we saw on the outside of the box, but just some nice reference images right there. And then our two different kind of instruction manuals here are separated once again just by number 1, which is just building the block body, which is like the main base body. Number 2 here is going to be for the Buster Doll tank in particular, specifically. So you got the parts list and then all the instructions here for building the tank variant, which is obviously what we're going to be building here for this one. So kind of cool how the instructions are separated like that. But like I said, no decals. So let's just check out here briefly. Here we have our pre-printed faces, which look really nice. We'll take a closer look at these in the review portion. You also have a set of unprinted faces here if you want to use those, and decals are available. I should say they are available sold separately. They're just going to be decals for different eyes though, if you want to make your own face parts. And then here on what is runner X4 here in clear, we do have parts for a clear base, which looks really nice and is highly customizable as well. So this is also a really nice accessory to have included. And then just to go through all the parts for the block body here first. So I've just kind of grouped them by color. Here in like some really dark gray, almost black kind of color, we've got runner C4, which is some wrist joint parts. D5 looks like some ankle joint parts there. D2 is our thigh pieces, and you'll notice those are solid pieces, so you won't have seam lines on those. Same thing here for runner D2, which is for the lower legs. Runner D3, some more parts for the knee joints there basically. Runner C3 here is going to be our hand options, which include open hands, closed fists, and weapon holding hands. Runner D4 is some more parts for the knee joint, I believe. Runner D6 is mostly parts there for the feet And then runner C2 is some parts for the arms. And then like a dark blue, slightly lavender kind of color here, we have runner B4 for a couple of parts, and runner B2 for a few more parts for the body. And then in skin tone color here, we've got runner B3, runner C1 for the shoulders, runner B1 for some parts for the main torso, runner A1 for the parts for the head and neck joint option parts, and then runner D1 is going to be parts for the top of the thigh. And again, you'll notice solid pieces there, so no seam lines on those either. Really nice. Now that's it for the block body parts, so now parts specifically for the tank on runner A here in this really nice matte kind of satin finish. We've got the hair parts in a nice kind of gray purplish color. Runner H here, we have one white part there for the pants. Runners B and C, a couple of really small runners here, basically parts for the clothing in that bluish color, and then that bright fluorescent green there for the accent. Runner D, once again, is in a really nice matte finish, kind of dark gray color there. Quite different from runners E and F here, which are in a shiny gunmetal color, kind of metallic gunmetal. For these mechanical parts of the kit, we've got two of runner F there. Runner G as well, also in a metallic color, this time just in a molded silver for some metallic accents. Switching back to the matte finish though, for runner I, we've got two of these, some more matte finish, dark gray parts there. But then runner J is some more of our parts here in that fluorescent green, which looks really nice, and that'll make for a nice accent. Then we've got runners X1 and X2, X1 being a white skirt part there, X2 being in brown parts for the shoes, X3 being our clear parts for the kit. In this case, they're going to be clear red, which looks pretty nice. We've got two of that runner. And then finally, runners Y1 and Y2, one more part in white and a couple more parts there in dark blue for the clothing. And that's it for the regular Buster Doll tank. But all right, so now as for the Midnight Fang version, not only is the kit itself in a different color scheme, but the box art's going to be a little bit different too. Instead of black with white, we've got black with orange. And you'll also notice this is 24.1, meaning this is the first variation of the 24th kit in the line. And the new color scheme does look really cool. Also, the runners in the background also a different color from what we saw on the original box art there. And not only that, we do have different text here on the front of the box as well. It says a model released as a color variant of tank by using the same color armor as its sister model, Gunner Midnight Fang. The play value of mixing and customizing parts between kits has been greatly increased. Its costume mode is designed after a school uniform and has a more fashionable look matched with the increased skin color. So yeah, I actually do have the Midnight Fang version of Gunner and the Darkness Claw, which is the color variation of the Knight as well, that I need to review for you guys. I just kind of skipped over those in order to take a look at this one here first, but we will come back to reviewing those color variants as well in the near future. Here on the ends of the box, going to be just kind of the same thing there. And on the bottom of the box, once again, we can see what the kit is going to look like, all built and painted up front and back there in the kind of full armor mode. And then over here in the costume mode and the base body form there, and then kind of a different setup of the armor over here, just in a different pose. And then you can see what the kit is going to look like straight out of the box without any painting or anything there as well. On the other side, we've got a look at our different face option parts. And the face option parts are, of course, swappable between the two kits, but with the skin tone being different between these, the skin tone of the faces won't exactly match, but the parts would be compatible anyway. Here you can see what the face option parts are going to look like. The MSRP for this one is actually 6,850 yen, which is interestingly a little bit more than for the original kit. That's unusual because typically I think for just a color swap, they usually have the same MSRP. And this one doesn't include any more parts than the original one as far as I know. So I'm not really sure why the slight increase in price for this variation. But there is one more difference here on the box in that the back is different. Now typically for these kits, the front and the back side of the box is the same, but this one does have different artwork here on the back, basically featuring a different photo of the kit in a different pose there, which looks really nice, and then some text in Japanese and a kind of stat box there about the battle points for this unit, so kind of interesting. But opening this up here, we'll take a brief look at the instructions and the parts there, because mostly everything is going to be the same, but I do want to give you guys a good look at just kind of everything that's included here. Once again, for the manual, we have like kind of a set of different stuff. We have the same instructions here for the block body and for the Buster doll. All those are going to be basically the same as far as I would guess. That said, we do have this additional paper here for the Midnight Fang variant, and it looks like maybe a couple of the parts are going to be a little bit different just because they had to be molded in a different color, it looks like probably. So that would explain the slight increase in the cost for this one, I think, and that kind of continues here onto the backside. So it looks like parts of the guide we're going to use. This is just basically an amendment page to the guide, just so that you can use different parts that are just needed to be molded in a different color, I guess. So that's interesting. Anyway, so for the color part of the manual, we just have the artwork there on the front, image of the kit, and the same thing here on the inside as well. A little bit of text, or we got our color guide there as well, and some nice just images of the fully built and painted kit. Looking very cool. But anyway, so yeah, here are our pre-printed faces, which look really, really nice. Those bright blue eyes look really good. As always, the printing quality of those looks fantastic. We'll take a closer look at those in the review portion. And once again, we do also have a set of unprinted face parts there too, if you want to use those. And then kind of cool how the base plate is also changed to a smoke clear, like a clear black, instead of just plain clear for this one. So that's also going to be different. And I won't go through every runner of the block body. Everything is the same except the colors, but definitely the skin tone is a little bit darker, kind of more lifelike skin tone, I would say. Not quite as pale. This is something that I think in like Japanese skin tone they would call a more tan kind of skin tone. You have a couple of like black parts here for in the body, in the pants, and then a couple parts here in like a dark metallic black kind of color there as well, which looks really nice. For some more parts of the clothing, we got these in black with the necktie being in like a bright pink this time. Here's a few more of those in black, including the black skirt part there. And then on runner Y1 here is our white collar piece there for the outfit as well. The hair this time changed to this kind of lighter pale yellow kind of color there. And then runners E and F, which were in that metallic gunmetal kind of color, are now in this bright orange color, which looks really nice. Runner G, which was in silver on the original model, is now in just a kind of medium gray color. And runner X2, which was in brown for the shoes, is now also in black. Runners D and I, which were in that really nice matte finish gray, are still in a nice matte finish, but here in this bluish, kind of slightly purplish color here, what does seem like a very similar color to what the color of the outfit is on the original version. And quite the change up here for runner J, which was our runner in that fluorescent green, is now here in black. And lastly, here for runner X3, which was in a clear red on the original version, is now here in clear green. We got two of those. And that's it for the Midnight Fang version. Let's go ahead and get these kits built up and see how they look. Alright, so here is the base body of the original version here, and that's where we're going to start off the review as usual. I want to take a look at this and all the included accessories and everything that we're going to be adding on to it. And then of course we will be taking a look at the Midnight Fang version as well after that, and we can kind of compare the two together, but basically they're just going to be, color swapped versions of each other, with this once again being another kit that just gives you so much content. I feel like so much value in these kits between the different variations that you can make just with the included parts, and then obviously you're wide open for customization using parts from different sets, just from the Buster Doll series, or just different sets from Kotobukiya's different option parts and things like that. You have a lot of possibilities available to you with very little kind of work required. These are made to be customized without having to modify anything necessarily. Of course, you can do that, but they give you so much to work with these. So let's go ahead and start off by taking a look at our included accessories here. And first off, we've got our included base here in clear, and this arm that has a couple of points of articulation here that you can adjust. You can also omit a couple pieces if you want to make this shorter and not quite make it as long, but works very well. And as you can see, obviously we have hard points around on the base as well there too, if you want to attach more effect parts or anything else onto there. This is just going to fit into either one of these connection points here on our back. Now starting off with just the accessories for the base body, here are two of our face option parts. Here you have just like this kind of regular smiling face and this more kind of grinning face here like that, with some really nice coloration there on the eyes. Our third face is going to be this kind of winking face there with the mouth a little bit open, and even the mouth is pre-painted there for you, so really nice printing quality there for those. For our hand options there on the kit, as you can see, we've got a set of closed fists. We've also got a set of weapon holding hands and open expressive hands, and that's going to be it for the hand options, so it's kind of less than what you would typically get in a lot of Frame Arms Girl or other Megami device releases. We also have option parts here for the toes if you wanted to have these looking like actual toes. They're also molded in black. You can swap that part there. Obviously, just with these meant to look like leggings, they should be like covering the toes. But if you wanted to repaint these or something for whatever reason you wanted toes, you got those in there as well. If you didn't want to rely on the stand, we have these for the left and the right side, these parts that just kind of fit around the back of the foot if you didn't want to have like the whole stand there. That said, honestly, I find these to be like more visually distracting to the design, even though they're meant to be like very minimal. At least the stand, it just looks like a stand holding up the character. These look like it's sort of like part of the feet in a weird way, but kind of cool that you have the Megami Device logo there printed on those, and a hard point at the back again if you wanted to add something else onto there for those. All right, next up, going to the costume mode, we're going to swap the parts there for the top of the torso, for the top of our kind of costume here in this case, which is sort of like this sailor school uniform style there with the bright green. And then at the waist section, we're going to swap the inner part and outer part there, once again giving us this skirt. And you don't have options for the skirt like you would if this was like a Sosai Shoujo Teien kit or something, where you have different options for the skirt in different shapes. You just only have this one here. And then for the feet, you've got a set of shoes here that you're going to swap out for those feet to these shoes that have a little toe bend there at the front, and otherwise just simple molded in brown there. And then from there, going into the light armor mode, you're going to swap out this part here for the back of the head, this part that has these ears sticking out the top and these hard points here with these clear red parts on the side of the head that get added. We're also going to be changing out the arms here from the bicep down to these parts that again give us more mechanical parts there to attach different bits onto. And we're going to be adding this clear reddish pink ring there in the bicep. Now, as usual, you do have options for that. At a few points on the kit, you have these options where you can either make it as a male or female 3mm hard point there. And as that goes for the bicep, you have the same parts here for the wrist. That's what's going to be on there, giving us that hard point right there on the wrist, where there's alternatively just a clear ring or one that gives us a male hard point there for the wrist. And the same thing goes for here in the middle of the thigh and here in the middle of the lower leg as well. You've got options of a clear ring or rings with hard points here for adding parts on, and that's for there, and then here at the lower leg. And that is where for the light armor mode, we're going to be adding these parts here. That ring's just going to fit between the top and bottom halves of the lower leg and give us some more attachment points and armor here around the knee. And on these parts for the knee, they have this really ingenious system of here, this hard point here on the side is actually just, that's also an option piece. You can slide that out of there, and then you can replace that with a male hard point if you want. That just slots into there like so. Or the other option is just a flat piece like what we've got here on the opposite side. This is your third option for what you want to fit into like this connection part right there. And then once again, we're going to be swapping out the shoes for these metallic kind of mecha looking feet here. That will give us, again, more hard points for attaching more stuff onto. Then, finally, for the full armor mode, there's all this other parts that we're going to be attaching onto here, and you'll see how this is all going to look here in just a moment. But different parts that are added around on the legs here, mostly for these, like this part here, for example, will fit over the top of the shoes there that we just saw, actually just like this, actually the green parts on the bottom. So that'll look like that, again, giving us more hard points and all this cool mechanical detail. And then this larger section of armor here, which is going to fit into the back. So this will just plug into the back and give us these kind of like big armor cloak bits here on the side, and these larger like kind of fuel tanks or cannons, however you want to use those, they're attached onto the back as well. You'll recognize this frame as being the same that's used for other kits in the series. These gunmetal parts there at the center part, and these kind of extended arms out the top as just being a common accessory used for this line as attachment parts here for attaching stuff onto the back of the kit, basically. And let's go ahead and take a look at the kit here in a few different poses as we check out how those different forms are going to look. So going from just the base form to the costume mode to the light armor mode and then to the full armor mode, that already gives us just 4 different kind of like base options for how you want to display the kit. But then obviously there's a lot more that you can do with this, way more than what I could possibly show you here in this video, just with only using the parts that are included in this box. A lot of different variations that you could make of, whether you want to use some parts or omit some parts or move some parts to a different spot on the kit, or a lot of different things that you can do with this. And you also have a bunch more different connection parts. Some of the extras and optional connection pieces that you have with this, there's even more customization that you can do. And then obviously if you're going to be using anything else other than just what's only included in this set, and if you're wanting to use parts from other Buster Doll sets or other Kotobukiya kits or other MSG option sets, there's a lot lot of things that you could do. And if you're wondering if they're compatible with like maybe your 30 minutes missions option parts or 30 minutes missions kits, yes, everything is using the same size 3mm hard points. So as long as you're just utilizing those hard points, I mean, anything from even different Bandai sets is going to work with these. So very highly customizable in that sense. But just as far as like the base like quality of the kit, I mean, the articulation of these is nice at this point. I mean, Kotobukiya's got it pretty well nailed down in terms of just like the construction quality of the base body and like the articulation and everything related with that. We've also got a lot less seam lines on the parts for the base body than what we would have had, you know, many years ago. So we've gotten a lot better and almost like just perfected the quality of the kits in terms of just like the basic body. And then obviously, as far as the looks for these kits go, I mean, I think they look awesome. The color scheme for this one's really cool, with those neon green parts particularly standing out as a really cool accent color for this set. But again, that's the great thing about these releases. They're more expensive compared to something like the 30 Minute Sisters releases from Bandai, but you get so much more in the box. I mean, the amount that you get and the quality of what you get in here is just so nice. With the 3 printed faces in there, they look fantastic, and then all the different option parts and everything you have with this. I mean, just a huge amount of possibilities with how you might want to build and display the kit, or, you know, you can mess around with it. So on that note, let's take a look at the Midnight Fang version here. Now again, the main difference for this is just going to be the colors. So obviously it has this more kind of like Halloween color scheme, I think, with like that dark purple and the black and orange accents on that. For me, just kind of reminds me of Halloween. But the base body is also going to be quite different. Even the skin tone is different. So if you wanted to mix and match parts from the body, that is going to be one issue. As you'll notice, one thing that's different about the coloration is also that for the regular version, you have black coverings for the arms and legs. But for the Midnight Fang version, you actually have a full skin tone for the entirety of the arms and the legs. It's kind of hard to see the legs there with the armor on, but that's even going down to the feet there as well, of course. And the other difference is going to be in the face options. So our face expressions are going to be different. Even the eye color is different. And then, as I said, the skin color is different. So here's our first and second face options there. And then our third face option is just going to be here with the eyes closed. So really nice that it at least comes with different facial expressions, different hair color, even different skin color. So it's like a, you know, kind of, even though it's the same mold, a seemingly different character entirely. And then obviously with the parts being in all different colors here, it definitely has a different look to it. So I mean, it's one of those kits where you could very easily warrant getting 2 different color versions of the same kit, where in other times you know you might think like, I don't know if I really want to pay that much for just buying the same kit again. But because of all the options that you have with these kits and all the different optional ways you have for displaying them, it'd be pretty easy to get 2 of essentially the same kit, just because you could have both versions of this and display them, you know, in different modes or something like that, or even just have, you know, both in, you know, essentially full armor mode, but then just rearrange the armor parts in a different way. And it looks essentially like 2 completely different kits, even though it's the same kit, just in different colors. So, I mean, it's really cool that they're doing that. At first, you know, I thought, okay, just different colors, not that really big of a deal. But because of all the options that you have, 2 different color options for these is honestly pretty cool, and gives you the opportunity to display the kit in a couple of different ways without just buying 2 of the exact same kit. Like if you just bought 2 of the regular version, for example, you could get the regular version and the Midnight Fang version, assuming that you like the color differences in both versions. If you wanted to have one to display in like light armor and another one display in full armor, you can just get one of the regular and one of the Midnight Fang. So I think the releases are really cool for that reason. And we will be taking a look at the Midnight Fang version of the Buster Doll Gunner and the Darkness Claw version of the Buster Doll Knight, as well as the Darkness Claw version of the Buster Doll Paladin. Once I get to those, I'm working my way through the line. I know it's kind of slow and we're kind of well into the line now at this point, and I'm definitely behind, but I will get to reviewing the other kits from this series here for you guys in the near future. But definitely check this line out if you guys haven't yet. I think that these kits are really cool. Definitely got to be some of my favorites in the Megami device. Kind of the Megami device line is kind of growing in its expanse now, with, you know, covering the Alice Gear Aegis kits and now the Buster Doll series kits. And then just, of course, the regular Megami Device series as well. And we're just kind of getting more and more. And, you know, there's a lot of variety within the line now, but I just think that the quality is so good. And these ones in particular, you know, I think definitely do a really good job of capturing the whole like Mecha Musume vibe really well with these. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. But if you want to check out some of the kits for yourself, of course, you can check them out at USA Gundam Store. The link to USA Gundam Store's website will be down in the video description below. While you're there, check out all the other really cool stuff there from Kotobukiya and everything else on the website. And as always, guys, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. If you're not subscribed yet, I'd love for you guys to subscribe as well while you're here. But until next time, I hope y'all are having a great day. See you guys later. Bye-bye.